with the YouTube team, they started at the beginning doing product reviews. And so, the reviews that we have written on our site, they were doing it for YouTube. Awesome reviews. And we were trying to rank in YouTube for the same keywords for the product reviews that we were in Google for SEO, Google SEO. Didn't really get that off the ground, but the product reviews did add a lot of credibility when someone would read our review because it would be on the written review. So we have a great video team, and currently they're spending most of their focus on our new course that we're launching. They're actually really working hard to edit and get that course launched as we speak.
We'll definitely get into the course stuff, but it triggered my mind a second ago when we were talking about the Google stuff and the updates. And you mentioned, you guys got hit a little bit. I mean, traffic seems to be down fairly significantly. How do you cope with these updates, knowing that it's a huge amount of money in traffic just in general?
Right. I used to get a lot more emotional with them back in the day. Thankfully, even when we've been hit, this is our third big hit over the last 2 or 3 years. Our company is still really healthy. So we know that even when we go through one of these periods, we're still really strong. So that's a good part of it. It's not like, things are getting chaotic, we can't pay the staff and stuff like that. We're still very healthy, but it's just really weird. We peak and then we go down. And then we peak, we go down. And we don't really change much of what we're doing. So I do have some theories on that if you're interested.
Yeah, let me get my tinfoil hat. And then, what are your theories?
So, and this also aligns with another site that I have. I told you about a couple of the JV sites. I have a site that I built 2016, sent PBN links. This is 2016. I haven't touched it in years. Every single major, and it still does quite well. Every single major update, it's up, down, up, down, up, down, right? Site's not changing. So similar to our site, we go up, down, up, down, up, down. Same, pretty much the same to similar amounts. And what I think it is Google has to keep flipping their algo to favor certain styles a little bit more, because whoever's ranking, you can't, from Google's perspective, right, they want to sell ads. And if one site is consistently number one, dominating forever, they feel like that site owner feels like they're in control. They've mastered SEO. So why not just put them down to number 6 for 6 months of the year, flip them back to number 1? And for the end user in really competitive searches, let's be honest, the 1 to number 10 site, they're all pretty good, and it's not going to hurt Google's end product of, this is a much worse website that you're showing me up top now.
You floated this idea by me a while back, and I've always remembered it, and I have seen the exact same thing that you're talking about, where you're at a traffic height and then at a peak there, and then you get hit, and it's not too bad, but it's enough to where you're like, well, there's obviously nothing dramatically wrong, because if you drop from, say, number 1 to number 4, it's a huge traffic hit, but you're not penalized or anything. You're still ranking 4.
You're not dead, yeah. Google came out and said, if you're on page 1, you're doing things right. So it's well, you just said, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just they kind of flip back what's valued and what's devalued, I feel.
Yeah. So I guess you guys probably don't do anything specific if you get hit, because you're already writing good content. You're well within any sort of boundaries that Google has set up for webmaster guidelines. So you guys just kind of keep the course?
For the most part, we do look into it, and we do see if there's anything obvious that we're deficient in, or we've been slacking in, or compared to competitors. But to the point of this whole theory is, if you just kind of completely change and shift gears, and then Google flips it back again, you don't want to be on that losing end. You kind of want to win, so you kind of want to stay sort of where you are. But we do make sure if we're falling behind in something that we think is important. But in general, for SEO, we just try to do everything high quality, because I think the algorithm's so complex. Gone are the days where you can say this update was this. Now it's 50 things.
And even if you change them, it probably won't move your rankings at all. So
just do everything well all the time. That's my advice.
Yeah. That's how we should live our lives anyway. So
There you go.
All right. And just for people that are maybe getting started and they're not getting as much traffic, so it really hits them hard. Do you have any
Yep,
advice for dealing with these updates for people that would just want to throw in the towel? Because I do bump into, people that
sure.
are maybe a year into their side hustle or in their niche side journey, and they're like, you know what? I got hit with traffic. I'm out. I'm going to do something different. Any tips?
Got it. Yeah, I think this thing really stuck with me. I just thought of it back when I was launching and kind of getting to 2, 3K, 5K, 10K, and so on. I used to always tell myself, maybe it was a mindset thing, that if I'm at 10K, because it's affiliate SEO, I'm actually making 5K a month. So I had to set, I always was pushing the boundary of what I thought I needed to get to, right? I wanted to get to 30K because I knew that was actually 15K. So I guess the point here is, don't get to 10K and think, times 12, 100, you're making 120K a year in a salary job. That's not the reality. You have to up your sense of urgency so that when these updates happen, they will, you're prepared for it.
It's like, how do you ever stop pushing? You're just always
That's,
striving.
I mean, it depends on your like personal goals and stuff like that, right? Like if you achieve a certain amount in the bank and you're like, oh, that's what I want, and I'm cool. But yeah, I feel like you're either like pushing. If you kind of stay flat in SEO, you're eventually going to kind of crumble, I feel.
Yeah, I hear you. For just before we hit some of your team growth and stuff, do you have a set schedule on improving or iterating on content? And if so, what certain things does your team improve or touch with the content?
We have our content director, whatever you want to call it, the main person who is responsible between our brand, like our messaging, making sure everything's on point. She actually has set up some audits where we're going through our top best pages, our informational content, and just really reviewing it, making sure that the information is up to date. It's referenced, verified, stuff like that, and just kind of going through and scrubbing everything on an occasional basis.
And that's just an ongoing task. Like there's always basically any given week, there's probably some content that's being reviewed, updated as necessary.
It's been periodic. Like we've gone periods where we've just kind of accepted our content for months at a time, and then we'll dive in and we'll do an audit, and it just keeps getting better over time. Like what our content standard was 2 or 3 years ago is different than it is now. So we just keep finding new ways to improve.
Do you find that after you do those updates, there's an improvement in rankings or long tail keywords or anything specific, or is it just a matter of practice to be the best in class there?
Right. I think it's hard to track just because there's so many different factors, but we think that, content freshness, it's kind of going back to like the do all things. You're updating your content, therefore your post is, last updated in June. So like when someone comes to see your article, maybe your click-through rate is better. So we like to think so, but I don't know if we've gotten granular enough to really know definitively. One thing I wanted to add is we also have kind of like a designer, a person who leads our CRO, UX kind of thing. So they work closely hand in hand with the content team, but some of the updates, I didn't mention this, are actually like design and user flow specific, with the goal of, say, A/B testing and increasing time on that particular page, or giving the user like a optimal experience for that search that they had, rather than just defaulting to dumping, 5,000 words or whatever it may be.
Interesting.